Coming up on the Jebbo Talks podcast, Charlie Morley will end up discussing his current views on the YouTube scene.
As well, YouTube's kind of maybe moved past me.
His 2021 goal.
Once I'm gone and I'm there, it's like I don't want to stop.
The YouTube boxing scene.
But yeah, I'm one person I want to see fight again is Gearba.
It's hashtag United Experience.
Hashtag's probably as a whole has got to be probably the best experience and best thing that has come from me like making videos online.
And so many more, guys. Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Jebbo Talks podcast with today's guest, guys. We do have Charlie Morley. Do you want to introduce yourself, Charlie, and say hello to everyone?
Hello. I'm Charlie Morley. What's there else to say?
Mate, it's
a retired YouTuber.
Right. So the topics we are going to talk about today is obviously YouTube, your Twitch, obviously hashtag, and obviously going forward in terms of like where you want to be at. So obviously in terms of YouTube, your first video was 5 years ago. Like, what made you want to get into YouTube at that point of the time? Like, was there anything in particular that wanted to like get you into it, or like was it just?
So the reason I got into it was I went to school with Theo and Joella, Theo Baker and Joella. They were the year above, and I was quite close to Theo. Well, I still am. Like, we still chat every now and again, obviously. But as you get older, you just kind of like move apart. He lives in London now. But I went to school with him. We played football together, just like in school. And then as we got a bit older, we played for the same football team. And then that's when he started doing YouTube. Was around, I don't know how old he was, maybe like 17, 18. And then when he started doing football videos is when I started helping him. Like, I'd go and goal, or I'd just help with some filming or whatever. And then after being in a few videos, a lot of people were commenting saying that I should, because I was quite good, saying that I should start my own YouTube channel. So I was like, screw it, why not? Like, I think I was working at Sainsbury's at the time. It was obviously something to do in my spare time, and it was just like, why not? Like, I'll enjoy playing football, and it could be a new hobby. So it was Christmas of 2015. I used my Christmas money to buy a camera in the January sales on Amazon, and my mum said to me, "It's going to be a waste of money. It's going to be a phase. There's no point you doing it." And I was like, "No, look, Mum, I'm doing it. I'm buying a camera." And that literally from then haven't looked back. Apart from, I mean, obviously the channel's a bit dead now, but there's reasons behind it and stuff. But yeah, we can get onto that. But that's why I started. I enjoyed helping Theo out, and I enjoyed playing football, and people asked for it, and then that's where it started. Just skyrocketed from there, really.
Yeah, 100%. So did you expect to get like as big as you are like now in terms like when you started off YouTube, or?
No, not at all. I mean, back then, I don't know how many subscribers Theo would have been on when I started. You can probably, I mean, there's probably a thing you can look at, but Theo, I don't think would have been on more than 100K. So back then, it was less talked about and known. Like, money wasn't. It's weird in the 6 years or 5 years, however long it's been. YouTube has changed so much. Like, the community and everything has changed so much in regards to, like, basically a lot of people know that you can make a lot of money for YouTube now. Obviously you can get famous from it and stuff. And back then, even like 5 years ago, that wasn't really a thing. Like, we were just making football videos and challenges for just some fun, like it was fun to go with your mates down to the Astro and kick a ball into the back of the net. That's literally what it was. And we were just filming it and obviously having a bit of banter and putting our personality out there. So yeah, I mean, it was really enjoyable. But obviously it's a massive bonus that I mean, Theo's obviously Theo started, I think, I think it was a good year and maybe a year and a half before me. So obviously that helped me out in terms of he already had an audience. So that helped me in terms of growing my audience. And yeah, I mean, I'd never say back then, I would have never said, oh, I'd be sat here with obviously like nearly what 400,000 subscribers and like over 100K on Instagram and like nearly 40K on Twitter and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
for
Like
sure,
that
man.
that was never, it was never even like a, I don't know, it wasn't even like a thought. It was just, let's see where this goes, you know.
Yeah, so like, how can I put it? So it took you over 3 months to reach 50K subs on YouTube. So like,
Yeah.
what was your feeling like? Obviously getting it, and like, where did you want to obviously take off from there? Knowing that now you've got 50K, like,
I've actually got I've actually got a video on my phone of me filming the subscriber count go up to 10K.
yeah,
And I remember it was quite late, and I remember hitting that and thinking, "Oh, like this is cool. This is like 10,000 people. Like that's a lot of people." And then obviously it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and I can't recall exactly, but it got to the point where I kind of thought like I need I need more time, and I want to put more effort into the videos and stuff. And I was working, as I said, at Sainsbury's full time
yeah,
at the time, um, 5 days a week. So there was only really 2 days that I had to make the videos, and that's obviously film, edit, and everything. Um, so it got to the point where I had to basically make a decision of cutting down my hours,
yeah,
which
for
is what I
sure.
did. And I, I I I eventually wanted to cut down my hours again, and they just didn't let me. They were just like, no, like we're not letting you. So I was like, well, I I changed department and I worked what's it called? Basically, I did online shopping. So I worked from 4 in the morning till 8 in the morning,
Wow,
but I did that every single day.
mate, that must have been tiring for
Um,
you, that, to be honest.
yeah, but in my mind, it was like, well, if I just get up and do that, I've literally got the whole day to film videos and do whatever. Like, there's nothing stopping me during the day to do it.
Yeah, for
And I
sure, man.
actually only did that for a month. And then I was basically like, look, I'm taking the hit. Like, It's not worth like doing it. If I jump now, take this jump now to try and make it like full time and go like big with it, and it doesn't work, then I can always, I can go and get my job back at Sainsbury's or go and work somewhere else. But if I didn't want that what if moment of what if I didn't, go for it then, and then it I didn't get as do as well as I have done and stuff like that. I didn't want to have that what if moment.
Yeah, for sure,
Um,
man.
yeah, it's just that things happen, and I was just like, yeah, if it screws up, it screws up. Like it's not like my fault or anything. It just wasn't meant to happen. And I mean, luckily, obviously, I didn't look back, and I never went back to Sainsbury's.
Yeah, fair enough, man. So, obviously, at the point of reaching 50K, did you ever believe that 100K was obviously on the cards at that point?
Um, in a non-arrogant way, yes. But it was never like oh, I need to hit it by a certain time, or it would the reason that I thought and I wanted 100K was obviously you get the plaque. That's when
Yeah,
you get the first plaque. And it was very much like, oh, I want that. I want something rather than just a number on a screen. I want the plaque to show like, what I've achieved. Um and yeah, it was just sort of like, well, I'm gonna put everything into it until obviously I get this plaque. And I enjoyed doing it. I really did. It was so good, literally going to the Astro like 3-4 times a week and doing for 4 hours a day, like
yeah,
just kicking balls into the goal to score good goals. And obviously, um, it's not just that; it's obviously the social side as well. Like you meet new friends through it. Obviously, there's so many different opportunities that came from me. Just literally, when my friends take the mick and stuff, it's literally just how they describe it is, oh, you just hit the crossbar for a living. And in fact, I'm actually really bad at hitting the crossbar. So no, I don't hit the crossbar for a living. But yeah, it was always a goal. For the 100K was always a goal and an aim. And from the start, obviously, it was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. But when it kind of like the snowball effect, when the momentum started to to roll, it was like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah, for sure, man. So how can I put? So you haven't uploaded on YouTube in 6 months.
Mm.
Do you plan on ever returning back to YouTube? Like, what's the situation with that at the moment?
Um, it's tough. So about I want to say when was it? So the whole of 2020 basically was just pandemic. But in 2019, I remember at the start of 2019, it was like, I didn't really enjoy making videos that much anymore. The market that I was in was so saturated with people who didn't really like care. Like, you didn't have to be good at football to to make a football video anymore.
Yeah,
Because when I first started, there wasn't many people around who were good at football and who also made football content.
yeah, for
The
sure,
only
man.
people that were around was obviously Theo, the F2, and they were nowhere near as big as what they are now. And I think like Daniel Cutting, but he was obviously nowhere like big as well. So they were only off the top of my head. There was probably more, but that I watch. So I was lucky in that sense that I came about then. I think that's why I got as big as I did as quickly as I did,
Yeah,
because there wasn't that many people around. But um, when in 2019 there was just so many people doing it who could just bang a title and thumbnail, and it would just get like so many views, and I just wasn't about that. I wasn't about like, just it got to the point where like I'd always try and think of the title and how I could do the thumbnail before I'd even thought about the video, and
yeah,
I didn't want to think like that. So I think I took maybe like a little break in 2019, and then it got towards the end of the year, and I was like, look, I'm gonna um I'm gonna take this seriously again. And I think I uploaded at least like once a week or something for a good, or maybe like once every 3 or 4 days for like a good little while. I uploaded through like November and December. And that's when I actually moved into Spencer's house, Spencer FC.
yeah,
And that was like, because obviously I played for hashtag, so that was, I'm moving up there to try and obviously better my chances at playing, because I couldn't make training much for that season because it was too much travel.
yeah,
Um, so I kind of took the hit, and I was like, look, I'm moving up to better myself. Obviously, I'm nearer all the main content creators. I was nearer Theo. I was nearer all these other like big creators. So it was like, right, let's see what it's like. And um, then that's where in, I think it's like December, I just kind of thought to myself like, you know what, like I don't think I'm about YouTube anymore. Like I think I'm past the point of um creating content
yeah,
that goes on YouTube, and I was ready for like the next step in terms of like a job within social media. And um I had a chat with Spencer and other people from hashtag, and they actually offered me. That's when I worked for them from January 2020. It might be December 2019 till maybe like March. And then that's when I got furloughed because of the pandemic, and then because my contract was only with them till the end of the season.
yeah,
um, and then obviously they didn't renew that, because I mean there was no point for them to renew it, because I because they had no content to put out, and I was an editor for them.
yeah,
um, so they didn't renew mine and two other people's contracts, which is a shame, because who knows if none of this happened, like would I still be up there? Would I still be working for hashtag? I don't know. But yeah, then then I think when I came back down here, I tried. I was like, look, like one last go again, and I feel like as well YouTube's kind of maybe moved moved past me in terms of like, I don't know. I feel like to get that proper YouTube relevancy again, I'd have to delve into the clickbait and the uploading literally like
yeah, for
every
sure, man.
day, and it's just, I don't know if it's worth it for me.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously speaking about Spencer, um, obviously, oh, what have we done here? Oh, something's happened. Right, we're back. It's gone. So obviously speaking about Spencer and obviously hashtag, um, you joined hashtag, um, obviously, when did you join hashtag again? Was it 2019, 2020 as you mentioned?
What to play for them or
Yeah,
to
to
as a
play
job?
for them. Yeah, play for them.
To play for them would have been 2017, maybe 2018, 2017, something like that.
So yeah, what was the vibes like a hashtag? So what was the vision that you got given? Like obviously when you joined hashtag.
The hashtag's probably as a whole has got to be probably the best experience and best thing that has come from um me like making videos online. Honestly, it was like it was so sick, and it goes back to I remember obviously Theo was there. I think
Yeah,
maybe 3 or 4 months before I was, and I remember him telling me before anyone knew, obviously, that he was getting announced. Him telling me that he was signing for hashtag,
yeah,
and I was watching him, and I was like, oh, that's so sick, like, and like thinking like one day, like, oh, I wanna play for them. And this is meanwhile like they're still playing realistically compared to the level that they play at now. They're playing like shit football. Like
yeah.
I
It's
don't know
like
if I'm
some.
allowed to swear,
Oh, you
but
are.
they're
It's fine.
playing.
It's fine.
They're they're playing against teams who aren't great. Let's put it that way. They're not
Yeah,
very good. Some teams. I mean, obviously you play relative to your level because the team back then was nowhere near as good as it was back now. But yes, some of the teams were. I mean, they beat Comedians like 23-0 or something. Like I don't know what the score was. It
yeah,
was ridiculous. But yeah, as I said, Theo joined, and I was like, "Oh, that's so sick." And then he mentioned that they were going to America,
yeah,
and I was like, this is incredible. You're going on a football tour. You're literally like a professional footballer now. Like that's what it seems like. And then at that time, and not many people. I don't know if I think I have said this before to a few people, but not many people know that I before Spencer asked me about hashtag, I was speaking to Cal Freezy about Rebel.
yeah,
It wasn't called Rebel back then. There was a work. It was still all in the works, but basically, Cal offered me to go and play for this team that he was setting up, um, and I was talking to him about it and negotiating different things and stuff. And then I got a random message from Spencer, um, a Twitter DM, because I think I'd maybe met him once or twice before. Because I actually went, me and Theo were filming in London, and he had training in the evening. And obviously, he was my lift home, so I just went training with him. So I met all the guys, and I remember being a little bit nervous, but realistically, like the only YouTuber there was Spencer, and that
yeah,
was the only one that was a bit like daunting. But yeah, I got over that, and then I got the DM from him, and he basically said, "Did I want to come on a loan like trial period um, to America for I think it was like 12 days or the 4 games that we played?" And I mean, it was obvious. It was like yes, like
yeah,
obviously I will. Um, but that obviously meant that the Rebel Calfreezy thing I obviously didn't choose that, and no disrespect to Calfreezy or Rebel or anything like that, but it was the right decision for me that I obviously went and joined hashtag. Um, Obviously a lot of opportunities came from it, a lot of work, a lot of I mean playing at Wembley twice and
yeah,
playing all these professional footballers and stuff. Um, yeah, it was incredible. The overall experience was so good. Obviously, the standout thing for me is the Wembley Cup, the first Wembley Cup that I played in. But there's so many memories that I'd probably even forgot about now because there's so many. Um, but yeah, it was so good. And yeah, I wouldn't change any of it. I mean, I wish I could still be there now, but circumstances.
yeah. Of course. So how much would you say the hashtag has changed between obviously from where you first joined to now?
It's obviously changed a lot. And I think a lot of people thought that I wouldn't change with it when it did,
Yeah,
if that makes sense. So obviously so I joined around when they were in Division 2, I believe. So when the opponents were getting a little bit better,
yeah,
when we started playing decent opposition. And obviously the move to non-league when Dev started to come in, um, he was obviously looking at who he thought could go into non-league and who he thought would be good enough. And initially, he didn't think that I'd be able to make that transition, and probably a fair few other people didn't either.
Yeah.
Um, because and looking back now, I feel like in those games where we weren't playing the greatest opposition, like I took it for granted. I didn't try my hardest. I didn't like. Obviously, I cared, but I didn't care that much. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? I didn't. I definitely could have tried better, and done a lot more for the team, and definitely. I mean, at the end of the day, like I didn't want to play where I was being played, but I couldn't be played where I wanted to be played because there was Dan Brown and Ryan Adams up front. Like
Yeah,
you
for
can't,
sure.
and they were scoring goals, like ridiculous goals. So obviously, I wasn't going to be played up front. Um, but obviously, I could have provided more goals and assists and stuff. But when we transitioned, I made it like my mission. I was like, no, like I'm gonna prove people wrong, and I'm gonna make sure that I play for this hashtag team in non-league,
Yeah.
and that's what I did. Um, but it definitely did change a lot. You noticed, and it was odd because the first few training sessions, obviously, a lot of the originals were around,
Yeah.
and then I think a lot of the originals figured out that they either weren't committed enough, or they weren't good enough,
Yeah.
or devs thought they weren't good enough, or they went elsewhere. I mean, they're they're in their some of them are in their like 30s and got families, wives, kids, and that. So I mean, they've got priorities, right?
Yeah.
And
100%.
starting playing for a new non-league team where you've got to travel all around Essex and London, like, isn't ideal for them. Um, Dan Brown being one of them. He played, I think, 2 or 3 games, and he was incredible in pre-season. Played 2 or 3 games in the league, got injured, and then basically just sacked it off because the traveling. He's got 2 or 3 kids. He's got a wife, and every Saturday, along with training on a Tuesday or a Thursday, sometimes playing 2 times a week, like isn't ideal. Um, Even though he was arguably our best player through chapter one, scoring however many goals he scored.
Yeah.
He obviously had to jack it in. So yeah, it changed a lot, and it will still change through as they get promoted. I mean, they obviously should have got promoted last season, but the null and void happened, and I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with this season yet. But they'll continue to evolve. I mean, I think you have to, in order to progress through the leagues. As you get promoted, you have to bring new players in. You have to bring better players in. Your budget increases, different thing, and it's a lot different for them, because they film their games. They
Yeah.
obviously, they are a lot different than other non-league teams, but they're also not as well. Um, some games we played, some of the abuse in the first season where I played most of the priority of my games. A lot of the abuse that we got was like, oh, we're on so much money, all this, and not one of us got paid anything. There was no
Wow.
budget. There was nothing, and a lot of people think that we were on a lot of money, and because obviously Spencer's the YouTuber and he's the
Yeah.
he's the one who owns it. Um, yeah, and that's why we had the likes of, well, that's why they thought we had the likes of Ricky Evans and Neil Richmond and Harry Honesty, was because they're established non-league players
Yeah.
in Essex, and that's why they thought that we had those players, because we're paying them. Oh, you must be paying them hundreds of pounds a game to play in this league, and no one was getting paid a penny.
Yeah.
And I was I was the one maybe traveling. I want to say the furthest at the time. I'm not sure. Maybe Ryan Adams had to travel quite far, but I was traveling 2 hours up and back at least 2 times a week. So I was traveling a good amount of time, and obviously you don't look at it like that. But obviously I wasn't getting any um money for anything. But I
Yeah.
didn't.
So
It
it's coming
wasn't
out your
about
own pocket type of
it
thing.
wasn't about that at all. Um, but yeah, they'll continue to evolve, and I've no doubt that they're only going to get better and stuff. And I haven't quite yet. I don't think I've quite yet it's sunk in, or I'm not letting it sink in that I've played my last minutes for hashtag. I haven't quite said that I'm done. I think
Yeah.
one day obviously, I mean, they could get promoted now, and then it might be out of my reach. But I feel like now, if they're in their standard now, and probably if they got promoted in that standard, I could still play.
Yeah.
Um, and be okay. It's just my fitness, man. It's just my fitness. I'm always injured. I haven't been injured in a while, touch wood. But yeah, it's just my fitness that was the main issue for the previous season. But yeah, they'll keep evolving. They'll keep doing well, and it's obviously exciting.
Yeah, 100%. When Scott Pollock came to hashtag United, obviously, how did that feel for like you? Like, obviously, at the time, obviously, it was remember the name Scott Pollock, but
Yeah,
obviously now he's at Northampton Town. Like, how mad, do you actually think that is as a whole?
I know it's crazy. So, uh, yeah, at the time he was what 16,
I think so.
16 when
Yeah,
he
something
joined or
like that.
something,
Yeah.
and he was young because when we all got changed in the change rooms, he had to go to a different change room to change
Wow.
because he was that young. Because so legally he couldn't get changed like in front of us.
Yeah.
Um, but uh, and it was around the academy time where I first joined because I believe the academy was maybe just before we went to America. So I was in a few of the academy shoots and that, and I remember everyone ranting and raving about him, obviously him being so young and being good, and obviously the potential that he has, and obviously being like a really nice guy as well. And I remember thinking like, oh, like because I don't think I ever played with him. I was always on like the other team, and we never came up against each other. Like he was centre mid, I was playing on the wing or something, so we never came
Yeah.
up against each other or anything. But then when he obviously won and signed, and I started playing with him, that's when it was like, oh, like this kid is good. Like he's very good. He's
Yeah.
gonna
100%. Yeah.
gonna go somewhere. Um, and he scored the winner in one game. I think it was his first game. He might have scored the winner. He definitely scored in his debut. Um, he got man of the match at Wembley Cup, the flipping youngest kid on the pitch, like against Steven Gerrard and
Wow.
David James and stuff like that. And he's the one getting man of the match. And I remember actually Spencer saying, I can't remember his name, but he was a commentator but he's also part of, I don't know if he is now, but he was part of like Crystal Palace's development academy. And I remember he was joking around with Spen, and he said, "Oh, is there anyone I should watch out for?" And he said, as a joke, and Spencer said seriously, he was like, "No," he's like, "You're going to want to sign Scott Pollock after today." He's like, "I promise you." And he laughed it off, and then at the end, he was like, "Oh, I need to speak to I need to speak to Scott Pollock,"
Yeah.
and he actually went on a trial at Palace and that. I mean, I don't think anything came of it, but yeah, he went on a trial with their, I want to say their under 18s or something. Um, but the kid's so good. Um, I think Spencer's actually he made a bet because you can do that. You can literally just make a bet up, and they give you the odds of Scott Pollock making a first team England appearance. I'm not
Wow.
sure what the odds are, but yeah, I mean the sky's the limit for him. He's still what? He's probably 18. He's still so young, um, and obviously it's very weird times in football now. But yeah, he's only going to get better. He's been injured, I think, recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's only going to get bigger and better for him. I can't wait.
We've got a question in the chat from LB8. He says, "Who's the better player, Joshua Suede or Scott Pollock?"
For me, Scott Pollock. I think they're very, very, very different players. Obviously, Josh is Josh is just absolutely is a winger, obviously, and he's rapid. He's absolutely rapid. That's his main thing. And I don't want to take anything away from him. I think he's a good footballer. But Scott's overall game and understanding of the game as well, not just like his technical ability, but his reading of the game, his understanding, his movement, and things like that, which go unnoticed, is 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 unmatched in terms of like his age group. Um, yeah, so I'd have to go Scotty P. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. We've got another question in the chat. He says, "How?" I don't know how to pronounce his username. I absolutely apologise for that one. But he says anyway, he goes, how far do you reckon Scotty P can go in the terms of future teams?
Um, I think, as I said, I think the sky's the limit. I mean, he's obviously had the joy of playing for the first team. I think his main aim now will be to break, like properly break into the first team now.
Yeah,
Whether that's this season or next season, I feel like that's going to be his main aim.
yeah,
Um, in terms of his career, again, like, I don't think I've ever played with someone at his age who's like played in the Premier League. So it's hard to compare like whether he could go that far or anything. I'm not saying he can't. I don't see why not. Like when I played with him at flipping 16, like he was so sick, so he's so good. Um, so I don't see why not. But in terms of how far, literally the sky's the limit. Like why not? Just don't even think about it. Take it step by step. Break into the first team at Northampton, and I mean it was only what 2 years ago or a year ago that he made his debut, that he even signed. So, and he's played
yeah.
against Wayne Rooney. So
That's mental.
it's sky's the limit.
It's mental. So obviously speaking about the Wembley Cup before, like, just tell everyone like how organised like the event is as a whole. Like, what is the effort that obviously Spencer and Co have to go through to be able to get
Yes,
legends in such as like Perez, Gerrard, and
it's mental. It's honestly mental. I don't even think I was part of it, and I don't even think I can comprehend how much time and effort has to go in from the likes of Spen, Seb, Alex, all them people behind the scenes.
yeah,
Because I only see the organisation at the shoots that I'm at, and obviously on the day of the Wembley Cup.
yeah,
Um, but in terms of organizing it, it's incredible. Like I just organizing a flip one YouTuber to come to do a collab with you is hard enough, let alone
yeah, 100%.
getting like 15 on the same day, including legend footballers, like all these different people. Like it's tough, and props to them. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's not happened since, is there's so much time and effort. They've done it what, 4 years in a row. um but yeah, it's so difficult to organize, and so much time is dedicated to it. It's almost tough to put your time elsewhere.
Yeah,
And obviously with hashtag being as big as it is and growing, I feel like they obviously wanted to put a lot of time into that, which is perfectly fine, fair enough. And obviously with the most recent Wembley Cup not being as good as the previous ones, they obviously thought that now would be a good time to stop. I mean, never say never. It might come back, it might not. Um, but yeah, it's it's so well organized. But even me, I can't comprehend. I couldn't sit here and go sort of properly appreciate how much time and effort they put into it. It's hard for even me.
yeah, 100%. What would you say is like your best moments of like the Wembley Cup if you could like sum it up together?
My goal, 100%.
Like, how did that feel like to be able to score that goal?
Um, it's so it's so weird. It's obviously it's probably like the biggest rush of adrenaline that I've ever had. Because I remember Theo scoring uh two, and being like, oh, like really glad that he scored, because I don't know if I was on the pitch when he scored. I don't know. Maybe I came off for a bit. Um, but I'd be like really chuffed he scored, and I was like, right now, it's my turn. Like these two kids from Seaford playing at Wembley, scoring on the same, because it was actually very rare that me and Theo played the same time as each other,
Yeah,
because we played in similar positions, and he obviously spent time injured. I spent time injured, so it was very rare. So I was like, right, like I need to get a goal, and I remember going up front and Seb playing me through and going 1-on-1 with David James. And you actually don't realise how big David James is. He's
yeah,
so big. He's like 6'4" minimum, and
wow,
he's big. He's still huge. And I remember getting just before nicking the ball just before he did, and him taking me out, and halfway through the air, thinking, "Oh, this is gonna hurt. Like I'm gonna land, and it's gonna hurt."
Yeah.
And it didn't. And I was like, "Oh, I can just get up now."
Wow.
So I got up. I obviously got up, and I didn't even see Josh Peters in the goal. I didn't even see him trying to block it. I just shot, and it went in. And then it was just sort of like, I don't know. It was as if like the crowd wasn't even there. It was just so, it was so surreal. Like me and Jamel actually organised in the hotel room before a handshake to do,
Yeah.
and I mean, on the live stream of the thing, it doesn't even look like we do it wrong, but we butchered it so bad. Like we didn't do what we were meant to do at all.
Wow.
But yeah, it was so surreal. It was I ran. I didn't know what to do. Like
Yeah.
it was just, I just kind of like ran around and went to Spencer and had a hug. It was just like, I don't know. I didn't know what to do. But it was such an it was so much elation, and it's just, yeah, the best moment of like what I've done,
Yeah.
definitely.
LB8 says in the chat there, he says, ask Charlie Morley if he could relive any video slash moments in his YouTube career, what would it be?
Yeah, that one again. Wembley Cup goal. It's and the thing is as well, I could have had two that day. I
Yeah.
could have had two. There's a Scott Pollock passes me the ball on the edge of the box, and I take one touch and I shoot left footed, and it's going so far in the top corner, and David James just like palms it out like fingertips, and
Wow.
anyone else is in goal that day, it goes in. Um, but yeah, if I could relive any moment again, but I wish I could relive it, but watch it. So not
Yeah.
necessarily do it again, but I wish I could watch it from the stands, like with my parents, and
Yeah.
see like what their reaction was and stuff. Because obviously they said that they were obviously so happy for me and cheering, and with my friends and that. But I'd love to actually be there, like with them, and watch and see how they actually were. I feel
Yeah.
like that'd be cool.
Um, so like you also played in the Sidemen charity match as well.
Yeah.
Um, what made you choose to play in goal? Like, did you get asked like specifically to play in goal, or did you actually just choose to play in goal?
No, um, so I didn't choose to play in goal. I had no choice really. So I was, and this is kind of weird because a lot of people think that I am a goalkeeper
Yeah.
from videos that I've done in the past, like where I've just done maybe been in goal, or through Theo's videos where I've been in goal, or because you know what, I'm not that bad in goal. I'm all
Yeah.
right, and basically I remember speaking to Simon Miniminter and him saying, "Oh, do you want to play in this the charity match? I think it'd be really cool." And I was like, "Yeah, sick, awesome, sounds good." Um, and I think at the time, someone was meant to go in goal, and they basically refused to. They were like, "No, I'm not doing it.
Wow.
I'm not going in goal." Um, so he said to me, "Oh, you can either do a half in goal, or you can do the full 90 minutes in goal." So I thought, oh, like I could do a half in goal and then play out on pitch for a bit. And he was
Yeah.
like, "No, like that's like not gonna work. Like the teams, the way the teams have been set out, like it would unbalance them. There's like too many, blah blah blah." So I was like, "Well, I'm not gonna play a half in goal. I'll just play the whole. There's no point. I'll just play the whole
Yeah.
game in goal." Um, so yeah, I played the whole game in goal, and it was the first time that I had ever played an 11-a-side match in goal, and I was absolutely shitting myself.
Yeah.
In the change rooms before, I was bricking it. I was really really scared. I remember because I just didn't want to, as much as no one would really care, but I just didn't want to do something and look like a twat. Like, I
Yeah.
really didn't at all. Um, but I didn't. I mean, we lost the game, um, but it was what 2-0, I think, and I couldn't do anything about the goals. So, but overall, it was such a cool experience. The first one, and then the second one, I remember I didn't actually get asked to play until like quite late on,
Yeah.
and it was again basically, um, basically they said, "Oh, you can play in goal, but if uh, if there's like a free kick or something that we think you'd be good for, like you can come and take it
Yeah.
and stuff like that." Unfortunately, there wasn't a free kick, but I think a few of the players like Manny and Toby felt quite bad that I had played in goal like both times when I am actually a outfield player and I'm quite good outfield.
Yeah.
Um, so it was like the last 5 minutes. Me and Manny swapped, and I think I ran the ball up the pitch, and then Joe Sugg tackled me. Um, and then I think the match ended about 3 minutes later, and I didn't touch the ball.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, they were so good. They were so good, and obviously, if there's talks of obviously them doing another charity match. I can't see it being this year just because
Yeah.
of the pandemic. But whenever or if that happens, obviously I'd love to be involved. Um, and obviously, if they offered me the chance to play in goal or not play at all, obviously I'd play in goal.
Yeah.
um,
For sure, man.
I'm not my ego's not that big to turn down the opportunity to play with them a lot and in a stadium. Whether that I don't know whether that's in goal or flipping right back, like I'd still play. I wouldn't care.
Yeah. 100%.
Um, so yeah, overall they were so sick. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. But obviously, I wish I could have played out pitch, but I didn't get a choice in the matter.
Yeah. 100%. LB8 also says in the chat, out of the Sidemen and all the YouTube All Stars team, who is the best player?
Um, so so the first match, I'd say both matches. Chris MD has a lot of influence on the game because technically he obviously plays a lot of football. Technically, he knows what he's doing. Like he knows how to read a game. He's very much like that number 10 role.
Yeah.
He can dictate a game of football. So I think in those types of games where you have players who have flipping never kicked a ball in their life, but then you also have some people who do know how to play football, he very much stands out.
Yeah.
Because obviously he's very good. He's a very good footballer. Um, and in terms of on the Sidemen team, obviously Manny and Toby are flipping rapid
Yeah.
and technically very good. Simon's like really awkward, an awkward footballer because he's so tall. Like he's not really fast, but he's quick with the ball. He's got quick feet, and also like really lanky and tall.
Yeah.
So it's just like really hard to get the ball off. And he doesn't even really need to be like strong because I mean, if he just moves the ball away from you with his long legs, you're just not going to get it. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
100%.
But I felt JMX and Reeve played incredibly well, and Josh Peters. To be fair, they had that little trio at the back where they were just so big that no one could really get past them in the first game.
Yeah.
Um, but they're probably the people off the top of my head. To be fair, that were the best players. I mean, if I played out pitch, I'd love to put a shout in for me. I'd love to I'd love to say that I would be up there.
Yeah.
But and I feel like especially the second game, I done myself proud in goal. I made loads of saves, and I think I got 2 assists as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was decent. I enjoyed it.
Jay Taylor says in the chat, he says, favourite video you've made with another YouTuber?
Blimey. There's so many. If I take Theo out of the equation, because I've made so many videos with Theo, and obviously to me he's just my mate. He's not a YouTuber.
Yeah.
I'd say, I mean, obviously the one that I filmed with Roger Shaw like banged. It got like over 1 million views, and it was obviously he's a sound guy. It was a good video. I think maybe one that I filmed with Chris. So many off the top of my head, it's a joke. Let's go with I think it was a free kick video I did with Chris. Would have been a
Yeah.
while ago at my local Astro. Let's go with that one. There would have been
Yeah.
some good free kicks in there.
100%, man. So going back to the Sidemen charity match, obviously KSI and Weller were both in it at some point. Obviously, what was your thoughts like on them two now contrasting to being in the charity match to then obviously being in Wembley Cup to then scrapping in a boxing ring? Like, Because that's all
Yeah.
stemmed from like Theo Baker as well, hasn't it? Like,
Yeah, I remember Theo telling me about how him and Joe were gonna have a boxing match. And that was it really. That was all that was kind of talked about. Um, and then obviously JJ commented on Joe's picture saying, "I'll fight the winner." Um, and it's very much if Theo would have beaten Joe in that circumstance, that none of this would have happened.
yeah,
Like 99%, because I mean, not that JJ wouldn't fight Theo, but Theo probably wouldn't fight JJ. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like Theo's not that type of guy. Theo's not a boxer. He's not a fighter. Like he's obviously not that guy. But when Joe and JJ were close friends, I wasn't in the scene. I wasn't
yeah,
known. I don't think I'd even started. Um, Obviously I came about and I was about, and I went to that upload. I was at the upload doing meet and greets and stuff when they had that altercation of like pushing and shoving and stuff.
yeah,
And it was, I didn't know then. I was still trying to figure out like, oh, is this real? Is this fake? And I think at that point it wasn't necessarily fake, but it was like just they both knew what they were doing. They didn't not like each other, but they knew how to put on a show.
yeah,
They were very much like showmans and knew what they were doing until they both, obviously the comments were made. I can't exactly remember what they said. I think JJ said something about mental health, and obviously Joe didn't take well to that.
yeah,
And then the push, and then that's when it started. It was serious. It was like, right, these guys don't like each other now. Um, but yeah, I can't really comment on when they were friends, because they were really close friends as well, and because I wasn't about in the scene. But yeah, when they didn't like each other, it was it was weird at the upload. As I said, I was trying to figure out like whether it was real, fake, or not. Um, but yeah, then they scrapped it out, and JJ obviously won, and I was
yeah.
I was lucky enough to be there ringside. It was sick, and yeah, I enjoyed it. And obviously now, then JJ went on to fight Logan twice, and he's probably going to fight Jake, so should be good.
Do you reckon that fight will definitely happen though? In terms of like
I th-
KSI
I
and Jake?
think so. Yeah, I don't know when, but I think the thing is, Jake Jake will play on this thing now of, because it's not happening anytime soon. I don't imagine Jake will call him a pussy and play on this. Oh, you're you're ducking me. You're avoiding me.
Yeah.
But in a way, like this fight should no way happen behind closed doors. Like
Oh
no
no.
way. There should be this should wherever it happens, England, America, wherever, this should happen with fans. They should fill out probably the O2. They would probably, because this fight is bigger than Logan KSI. I'd say, in terms of like, this is general. Like they genuinely don't like each other. They
Yeah.
hate each other. And it obviously over the years it's been made so much bigger. Obviously with JJ beating Logan, and then Jake beating Gibb, and now beating Nate Robinson, and now
Yeah.
he's obviously fighting again in April, whenever it is. Like it's being made into a big thing. Um, so I think it will happen. I don't think JJ's friends want it to happen.
Yeah.
Um, Not necessarily because they think he's going to lose or something, but I think just there's no real. They just don't think there's any real need.
Yeah.
They don't. Well, what more is there to do? But again, I think it's very much an ego thing. It's very much, I need to shut this guy up.
Yeah.
Because obviously JJ initially wanted to fight Jake first off, and Jake said no, and he was like, "Well, okay, I'll fight your brother." And then Jake obviously ended up fighting Deji.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, one person I want to see fight again is Gibb. I think he deserves another shot, and uh, I feel like, obviously, if COVID wasn't a thing, I think he would have had 2 or 3 fights by now, because
Yeah.
he's just this he's a flipping psycho. He's mental, honestly. I spent some time with him when we went to the Challenger Games in
Yeah.
LA, and he was just constantly talking. This was before, obviously, him and Jake had arranged a fight. He was kind of calling him out, and I remember they spoke for a bit in LA, and it was like he's just mental, man. He's such a cool guy, but yeah, I want him to fight again.
Yeah, 100%. You mentioned the Challenger Games as well. Like, what was it like being at that Challenger Games event?
Weird, man. So weird. So when Logan tweeted and made a video about it, I think I made a video about it, and I was like almost hopping on the trend of yeah, I wanna be a part of this. Never really thinking, that I would. Never
Yeah.
really thinking that he'd notice me. And I remember he followed me back, and I was like, "What the hell's going on here?" And then he messaged me like, "Oh, do you actually want to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, like why not?" Um, so I basically wanted to know 100% that I was gonna be a part of this thing and do the events that I wanted to do before booking my flights, because it was over £1,000 to spend on flights and accommodation because it
Wow.
was a quick thing. It wasn't like, oh, when you book a holiday like months or a
Yeah.
year in advance. This was like happening in a couple of months' time. So I was spending a fair bit of money, and I was like, I want to, before I commit, like, I want to do these things. So I messaged him being like, look, I'm spending this money, and I want to get out of it. I want to get something out of it. And he was like, "Yeah, I'll make sure of it." Like, he's so Logan's a really nice guy, really really nice guy. He made sure he said to me, he was like, "I'll make sure you're involved in these events." Blah blah blah. And I met up with Toby Jizzle,
Yeah.
Manny, who went with Toby, Gib, and I'm Alex as well.
Mhm.
Who were I think we were the only English guys that went over.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, overall, it was I'm glad I did it. It was a really good experience. Again, I got injured.
Yeah.
It was unfortunate, but yeah, I think it was weird because it was my first time going to LA, and the environment is so different, like
Yeah.
compared to just England. Like the people are so different. Whenever you have a talk with someone who's an influencer, it's how many subscribers you got, how many
Wow.
followers you got. Because I think they're just wondering like how relevant you're going to be to them.
Yeah.
Um, they're just saying like, "Oh, so what do you do? How many followers do you have?" And if I go like, I could be like, "Oh, I've got 400K on YouTube," and they've got 4 million. They'll just be like, "Oh, okay," and then just go speak to someone else. You know what I mean? Like they're
Wow.
they're ruthless, man. They don't care. Um, but yeah, speaking to Logan's a really nice guy. Jake, I didn't get good vibes from Jake. I didn't speak to him much, but he just kind of looks at you as if you're just a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like I remember speaking to Logan, and then Jake, we were in this like massive tent afterwards, just all like chilling after
Yeah.
the live stream and stuff. And I'm sat there like I've pulled my hamstring with like ice on it, and I think like a good six other people did, and obviously Logan did again.
Yeah.
And he came over and asked like how I was and stuff. Um, and like Jake was just like sat with his like entourage and just like looking around at people, just like I don't know. I mean, maybe I misconstrued it, but he just looked like he wanted to just kill everyone. Like,
Yeah.
he just looked like a psycho. But other than that, I enjoyed it. It was good. I think I was only there for like 3 days or something,
Yeah.
but it was a good experience. It was a good experience.
Yeah. 100%. So how how can I put it? So like going forward, are you planning on to do any more events, or like have you got anything else lined up at the moment, or it's just like
Uh, Not at the moment. I think that's. I mean, obviously, the pandemic doesn't help in terms of events. I think the guys that upload, whether they actually wanted to do an upload event, but they definitely wanted to do further events through the whole of last year, and obviously the years got leading on.
yeah.
Um, but that's obviously Corona's obviously put a stop to that. So at the moment, I mean, you can't really plan flipping like months ahead because you just don't know what the government guidelines are going to be. You don't know what the event guidelines are going to be. You don't know whether there's no point doing an event or anything where there's not going to be any fans.
Yeah.
There's no point because that's the whole point of an event is to have that fan interaction and the meet and greets, and they can purchase your merch and the panels and all these different things. So yeah, it's not at the minute, but I think just because there's no events to do, you know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
festivals and that are getting cancelled still. Like Glastonbury recently got cancelled, so yeah, it's tough times for everyone really.
Yeah, 100%. So we're gonna move over to collabing now. So like obviously you've collabed with some big YouTubers, you like obviously like Cal Freezy, Joe Weller, Theo Baker. How significant was that to you in terms of like I know obviously Theo's your mate, but going on to like Cal Freezy and co, like how significant was that to your channel and you as a person?
Yeah, I mean, Theo obviously helped me out a lot. Not just him having a subscriber base and a fan following already, but he helped me a lot. He actually edited my first video for me,
Yeah,
although it was only like a little 3 minute like compilation thing. Like he showed me briefly what to do, and he helped me out with um, the metadata and different things like that. And I mean, for a good year, I want to say, and this is what I mean where times have changed. For a good year, maybe year and a half, I didn't know that to have mid rolls in your videos, your video had to be 10 minutes. I didn't know that.
wow,
Um, so yeah, and this is what I mean. Like I credit a lot of what I've done to him because he's helped me out a lot. Obviously, I've had to sort of carry that torch on because
yeah,
there's a lot of people who have been in the scene who have been helped out by people and then have just, as soon as they kind of have to go off on their own, they can't do it anymore. People aren't interested and stuff.
yeah,
And I'd like to say, obviously, I did that when I needed to do that. But obviously, being bigger gives you that opportunity to then go and film with the bigger guys, Calfreezy, Road to Shore, um, Mini Minter,
yeah,
Toby, all these different people. I've done different shoots with them. Even if I haven't made a video on my channel, like I've been on their channels and stuff like that. So it's all exposure for me. And yeah, obviously it was really significant in terms of building my following and my subscriber base and stuff.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, they're all really nice guys. There's not a person in the scene where I thought, you're not nice to work with, or meeting them and then being like weirdos and me just being like, oh, I'm not making a video of you again or something like
yeah,
that. They've all been really good, and yeah, even Joe. I think I made my second or third ever video with Joe, and obviously that was huge. That was again, that was all filmed like within probably no longer than 15-20 minutes. It was literally
wow,
just a crossbar challenge. Um, we just finished filming a video for his channel, which actually Theo was meant to do instead of me, but
yeah,
Theo either couldn't make it or was injured. So Joe was like, "Oh, who can I get? Who's?" Because he wanted someone that was like half decent,
yeah,
at football. Theo was like, "Oh yeah, get Charlie," and he was like, "Oh yeah, okay." So I went and filmed with him, and then we just done a quick 20-minute crossbar challenge, and I think that's my most viewed video. I want to say, um, on my channel, I think 1.8 million maybe. Um, so yeah, it was obviously huge at the time. Second ever video, third ever video, whatever it is, to film with um, a massive YouTuber like Joe, and
yeah,
then obviously to go on and film with other massive people obviously brings you a lot of exposure. So yeah, it was massive for me.
yeah. So like, how can I explain it? So like, when you recorded with these guys, was it just like literally, as you say, like a quick 15-20 minutes, or sometimes it'd take longer than that?
No, so again, it depends. I'd say the video that I did with Joe is an anomaly. Just because we didn't actually plan to film a video for me. It was just like it was almost him just kind of like a thank you, like for helping him out
Yeah,
at short notice. So we just did something like really quick. Um, but the other times is you plan a time, you plan a location, date, blah blah blah, and you come with a video idea, and you could, depending on what it was, you could do it in an hour or you could be there for 4 hours.
wow,
So yeah, it depended. If you Me and Theo have spent during the summer when obviously you get a lot of light, we would get to the Astro for a good 9 a.m. Do just have like a bit of a kickabout to warm ourselves up, set up, and we could be filming till like 4 p.m. Like
Yeah.
we've been there hours upon hours. We'd have lunch there. We'd do all sorts. So um, there's yeah, the video with Joe is kind of a one-off, just the 20 minutes. But yeah, videos can you basically film in all day,
Yeah.
especially if you're doing a collab. You usually do one video on each other's channels, so you're usually there all day. Yeah.
Is there anyone that you want to collab with in future that you haven't collabed with yet, and if so, why? Like, who would it be and
Um.
why?
So I mean, obviously, the obvious thing is to pick the biggest guys in the like obviously KSI and people like that. But I don't think. I mean, I don't think that's relevant because he doesn't make the type of content that I do. Do you know?
Yeah.
I used to, so it wouldn't be like a relevant thing. Um, so in terms of my channel, obviously, I haven't made a video with the likes of like Simon and Toby, Manny. They're people that I would have liked to have done stuff with, just because they're obviously good at football. They would obviously um, bring an audience to me as well. They obviously it's worth doing, and I feel like we could actually make like a really good video as well.
Yeah.
Um, so off the top of my head, they're the type of creators that I'd like to do it with. Um, obviously, there's professional footballers that are kind of untouchable that people have made videos with in the past, but in terms of content creators, I'd probably say those three. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. So we'll move on to the Twitch now. So, like, when did you start up your Twitch channel? And, like, what was the thoughts going forward of like you streaming and stuff?
Um, so I made my Twitch channel a few years ago,
Mhm.
um, with the aim of streaming. Like eventually, like I wanted to stream, and never really got round to it. Was never that bothered, and then it got to last year, um, in I want to say like May time, May June, where it was mid-pandemic, like we were locked down, like where you could only go outside for an hour of exercise a day, like that was
Yeah.
it. So I was like, well, I need something to do. Like I can't, like for my just mental well-being, I need something to do. And I was like, this is literally the perfect time to start streaming to keep my name out there. Obviously, still interact with my fan base and stuff. Um, so that was, and I probably joined at the worst time because it was when FIFA was dying.
Yeah.
FIFA 20 was at its worst bit because the relevancy of it was dying because there was new games coming out,
Yeah.
and then in a few months, FIFA 21 was coming out. Um, so I started streaming. I think it's around June of 2020, and I streamed for maybe 2 or 3 months, and then I want to say till about August, and then the game just died. Like no one really played it, and I
Yeah.
didn't play any other games, so I just stopped streaming. I was just like, well, I have no interest in playing this game, which obviously then means I have no reason to stream.
Yeah.
Um, so I stopped streaming for a bit, and it was like, right, I'm gonna make my streaming comeback when the new FIFA comes out, FIFA 21.
Yeah.
So that came out, and then I haven't really looked back since. I don't think I streamed for maybe like the first 3 weeks of the game coming out, maybe a month, and then I've streamed since, for the past 2 months, nearly every day,
Yeah.
5 days a week on average, probably I'd say 5 6 days a week. Um, so yeah, and I really enjoy it as well because, in a way as well, like I don't kind of want to get to that the level of like Castro or the level of, when you've got like thousands of people watching. Like
Yeah.
in a way, I don't really want that, um, because I don't feel Twitch is very much very very different to YouTube. YouTube's a very toxic community in terms of like comment section and negativity. I mean, obviously you get some people come into your chat and call you a wanker and a blonde twat and all this,
Oh
but
yeah.
it's very much everyone helps each other out. There's you can obviously raid other people's channels, and obviously that opens new eyes to your Twitch channel and stuff like that. Like the other day, uh, Toby raided me, and I had like over 1,000 people
Wow.
in the chat, and that it was mental. It was like obviously then that comes with then loads of new followers, and
Yeah.
um, that's obviously great. And the main thing is interacting and having like a personal relationship with people.
Yeah.
You can obviously then I have a Discord server that anyone can join, and it not just they can obviously build like a relationship with me, but they can then build like friendships with people in the chat as well.
Yeah.
Like other people can join the Discord, and they can chat about their FIFA teams, or they can chat about, it's just a place to go and flip in chat with people and stuff like that. So it's one of the reasons I like it so much, that it's more personal than um, kind of just making a YouTube video and having that process of filming, editing, uploading. It's
Yeah.
very much you come on and you make of Twitch whatever you want to make of it.
Yeah.
You can come on, you can stream what you want, you can do what you want, and just chat with people.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really enjoy it.
If there was one thing, like advice that you could give someone that's like new to streaming or something along the lines of like just starting off in terms of like they've hit affiliate, but they're still getting obviously the average of the 3 viewer mark. Like, what advice would you give them?
Um, so obviously I was lucky in the sense that I already had a following to bring over.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I first started, I still, I think my first stream I might have got like 12 people or something. Like it
Well.
wasn't, and I still get now people come into my chat and go, "Oh, I didn't know you streamed." Like I didn't know. I obviously he was that people come in, they go, "Oh, Charlie, I remember I used to watch all your videos, but I didn't know you
Yeah.
streamed," and stuff like this. But I used to look up at the start like how to kind of like grow and stuff, and it's strange. Like if you're, I always saw videos, and I always say you should, if you're streaming, you should never stream to yourself. So you should never stream to like between 0 and 3 people. If you're, even if you can cheat the system in terms of just get, when you're streaming, get your get your mum to watch it, your dad to not even watch it, just have it on their phone.
Yeah.
If you've got siblings, just get them to put it on. And even if you get 5 to 10 viewers or whatever, that pushes you up so much on that like browse search, where you can search for like games and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So so like my one of my friends has recently started Twitch. He plays Fortnite. He's really good at Fortnite. And basically, so he has like his brother, his mum, his other brother. He has basically like family just like lurking in the chat.
Yeah.
And because you don't realize how many people are streaming to like 1 or 2 people.
Yeah.
And if you just click on like Fortnite and you scroll all the way to the bottom, if you get like 5 people, it pushes you up so much in terms of when people are just looking for random people.
Yeah.
Because I do it myself. Like, I just go through the browse section and I go to people with like 10 viewers, 5 viewers, and I'll just like pop in and just be like yo, like how we doing, whatever.
Yeah.
Even, like, and if they know me, then obviously they sometimes can obviously get like excited and be like, what the hell are you doing here? If they don't, then
Yeah.
it's just like another person, another viewer. Do you know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
helps them
Of
out.
course. Yeah.
Um, I feel like consistency um is definitely a thing. You've got to, and I understand it can be quite demotivating, kind of seeing what you deem to be a low number amount of people, whether that's 1, 2, 3, however many. Um, it can be quite demotivating, but having that schedule of, um, I mean, it's funny me saying it because I don't really have a schedule, but
Yeah.
it's definitely something that I want to adopt into what I'm doing, is having a schedule of and a date and time of when you're going to stream. So you say, yeah, I stream. So for me, for instance, I usually do the weekends because I play weekend league, and then I usually do Mondays and Thursdays. But
Yeah.
I don't set a time to it because I don't want to. I almost don't want to let people down just in case that something comes up, or like I end up in a doing something else, or just maybe I don't feel like it that day.
Yeah.
But that's when I usually have Tuesday and Wednesday off, and then stream them days.
Yeah.
So having that time and scheduled to do it, then people know they're like, oh, Charlie's streaming at this day, roughly around this time. So I'm gonna go back, and I might tell my friends come in the chat this time, and I might that he might tell his friend who. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It very quickly can add up. Um, and obviously doing things like even if you're a even if you're a small streamer with like 5 viewers, if you can find someone else with 5 viewers and maybe do a collab on FIFA or whatever game you play together. Like pollinate your audience, help each other grow, and stuff like that. It
Yeah.
always it always helps.
You got a question in the chat. So I'm not sure if you know or not, but like when I stream and stuff, I normally have a Budweiser next to me, and
Yeah.
basically the guys want to know if you like bevying for some reason. Like I don't know, like it's proper
If I like
confusing.
what, sorry?
Like bevying, like drinking, like, and if so, like what drinks do you have?
Uh, yeah. So when I when was it in the year of 2018 maybe? Oh mate, I used to go out all the time.
Yeah.
Like I spent so much money going out, nights out on alcohol. Um, and I mean, it's not something I regret, but I mean, I wish I didn't go out as much. But
Yeah.
I loved the night out. It was so good. I enjoyed it with my mates. It was so sick going to all these different places. And what's my favorite drink? So now obviously, I mean, you can't go out, but I'm doing as of this year, I'm doing dry January, so I haven't touched any alcohol for 20, what is it, 26 days now, 25 days. I don't know what the date is, but yeah, come February. I mean, it won't be February 1st because that's a Monday, but the first Friday of February, I'll definitely have a Corona in my hand. Um, I'll be having a beer, but I'd say probably Corona's my favorite kind of. Oh, I'm not getting pissed beer.
Yeah.
If I'm like going out with my mates, it's it's vodka.
Yeah.
Or Disaronno. I'm a sucker for Disaronno.
Mate, there's someone in the chat that is a bad influence to me, but and for the vodka especially. But yeah. Gareth Falconer says, "What is it like to film videos of people like Chris MD, Harry, and all
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it helps. It would be different if they were like not nice people or something,
that?" Yeah.
but when they make it easy for you as well, like when they're just nice down to earth people, and you know they just make it easy for you to do your thing as well. It's so easy. It's not nerve wracking. It's because if they kind of had a persona or whatever, it would be like, oh, I'm nervous to film with this guy, but they're not like that. They're really nice guys, and obviously I've been lucky to film with Chris and meet him a few times, and film with Harry a few times.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's great. I mean, and obviously it helps that they have millions of subscribers. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, Gibson says, "Ask him if he's seen the True Geordie versus F2B for the Wembley Cup."
Yeah, um I've seen it. I saw it I didn't see it at the time. Sorry, I wasn't actually there. So but after, I don't know why, but after all these events that I've done, so both Wembley Cups and both Sidemen charity matches, I get really ill after.
Yeah.
I think I have like this massive adrenaline dump
Yeah.
where my body creates like so much energy, nerves, excitement, and adrenaline during the day that afterwards, when I don't need it, like I just feel so like drained and I just want to go to bed.
Yeah.
And after that one, obviously hashtag lost the first game.
Yeah.
So I think we watched the final and then just um, I think I just went to the hotel. I just left, like my family. I spent some time with my family, and then I just left. So I didn't go on a night out. I didn't do anything. I was just proper. I just felt proper rough.
Yeah.
So I didn't actually see it at the time, but obviously videos circulated on the group chats and stuff, and saw different things. But yeah, there's plenty to be said about from various people about the F2 and how they are perceived now, and obviously it's a lot more well known that Jeremy hasn't exactly got the best reputation with people. But yeah, I didn't see it at the time, but obviously I've seen as much as what you guys have. To be fair, just some videos, and then if I ask someone about it, they'll go, "Oh yeah, he called me a wanker." Or, I don't know, do you know, it's something like that. That's it.
Yeah, for sure. So, like, what has been your experience working with the F2 then? If you've ever worked with them before, that is.
So I obviously they were kind of the when I was at my peak of YouTube uploading, they were obviously the golden nugget in terms of they were the guys that you want to film with. They get millions of views, obviously sick at football, sick at trick shots, all this thing. You can obviously make a sick video with them. It'll bang. You'll get loads of subscribers, perfect like that. And I remember speaking to so that initially they actually sent me some Rascal clothing, and obviously thankful for that. This was obviously years ago. Really thankful for that. And then I spoke to Billy a bit about filming a video, and he was like, yeah, sure, like we can sort that,
Yeah.
but nothing ever came from it. And I want to say that that Jeremy was probably the guy not letting that happen in terms of not that he like didn't like me or anything like that, but he just probably didn't see any point in doing it
Yeah.
because they probably had like 1 or 2 million subscribers at the time, and filming with someone who had like 100, 200K was just had no relevance to them.
Yeah.
Probably just wasn't asked about it, which I guess is each their own. But yeah, that obviously never came about, and I've met them a few times at different events and stuff. And Billy has always been really nice. He always shakes your hand, asks how you are, asks how you've been, what you're up to, etc. And you can have like a proper conversation. Whereas the times where I've met Jeremy, he just doesn't really seem to have any interest in like you, and not that he has to, but you know,
Yeah.
even if you just fake it just for like 2 minutes,
Would you say he's a
like
bit stuck up in that instance then? To like.
yeah, I don't know if that might be. I don't know. Maybe, and I don't think so, but maybe he was just having a bad day. But he
Yeah.
can't have a bad day when he meets everyone. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's saying the same thing. He can't have
Yeah.
a bad day
Exactly.
every day. But I just feel like he's very business orientated. Like everything that goes through his head is business. So when if he wants to make a relationship with someone that he thinks is going to benefit him or the F2 in terms of going to better their business and their YouTube channel stuff, he'll probably be the nicest guy on the planet.
Yeah.
So when he's working with these professional footballers and these professional athletes and making videos with all these different big companies, he's probably the nicest guy to work with. But when he's speaking to little old me and he can't, like, he won't have a conversation with me, like, he won't even. There's certain things he said to like hashtag players where he's gone, oh, I think someone introduced him. One of the hashtag players was like, "Oh, I can't even remember who it was. I'm Rich Beck, for instance."
Yeah.
And Jeremy went, "Oh yeah, no, you know who I am." Like things like that.
What?
Like it's like what? Do
Mate,
you know
that's
what I mean?
bizarre.
Like, even if you just fake being nice and just be like, "Oh, you're right, I'm Jeremy. Nice to meet you," and then
Yeah.
that's it. Like that. Like that's. No, I don't get it. But yeah, the experience that I've had with Jeremy hasn't been. He's a massive idiot. Like we've had massive falling out, but just that he hasn't come across as a nice guy. That's it. He hasn't warranted for me to go to tell people, you know what, he's such a nice guy. And I feel like a lot of people now, because he's kind of because Spencer made this video, not like an exposing video, but he made a video and kind of obviously put his neck out and said, you know what, like these were horrible to work with. They made time at the Wembley Cup and all these other things a fucking nightmare to work with.
Yeah.
That other people now have kind of the confidence to come out and be like, yeah, he was actually a bit of a knobhead to me, or like, because I think there was an instance where he actually didn't allow someone a brand deal. I think it was Cam Kirkham.
Yeah.
Uh, he was meant to have a brand deal with.
Didn't he put that
Can't
on
remember the.
YouTube or something? No, Cam.
Yeah. Yeah, he was meant to have a brand deal with a company, and because he made a video about Jeremy or something, Jeremy had close connections with them. He said, "Yeah, don't work with him." He probably said something like, "If you work with him, like you aren't getting my audience." Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
something like that, which is obviously really shit. And it's a shame people like that are obviously, and there's probably a lot more people like that, to be honest. But yeah, he's obviously been found out for it now, and he obviously got slaughtered after um, the Spencer video, and Spencer obviously didn't intend for anyone to go and hate on him and stuff. It was more just kind of like putting it out there and you know letting people know. But yeah, a lot more people have gained confidence from it to speak out about it. But I can't say a bad word about Billy. He's always been really nice to me. But Jeremy, I don't really have anything nice to say, but again, he wasn't necessarily horrible to me, but he just showed no interest in like having a conversation or anything like that. It was just kind of I don't know, whatever. He didn't really care.
yeah. Would you say that's because obviously Billy being the dad, like you show more respect towards you, or do you reckon that's just like a personality thing?
Maybe I actually had this thought and conversation with a few people a while ago, where I thought maybe because he has a wife and kids and a family, like he's matured more in that sense, where he's more caring and stuff. But again, it might just be I don't know what Billy was like years ago before he had kids and stuff, but it might just be how he was brought up and stuff. I don't necessarily think Jeremy is a nasty person.
Yeah,
I just think he's so centered around business and money and success that he's burned bridges and he feels like he has to be this ruthless guy. And I don't doubt it's helped them out, like in terms of making deals and stuff. I don't doubt it's helped them out. But yeah, that he's obviously burnt bridges with people and not had good relationships with people. So yeah,
yeah.
it is what it is, really.
Um, Gibson comes on to say, ask Charlie how he gets in contact with massive YouTubers such as like Rota Shaw and etc. etc.
Uh, I just so so back in the day, obviously when I first started. Oh, excuse me. Um, I remember the burnt chip, Josh, following me,
Yeah,
and I can't even remember what type of videos he made at the time, but I remember he was making the penalty. I think he made like penalty king video. I don't know if it was penalty king, but he made videos around like penalties with YouTubers, and I remember he followed me because I wanted to be a part of it. Um, and speaking to him about it, and it's just basically I just message him on Twitter. They follow me, and you just drop them a message on Twitter, and they simple as that. Really,
yeah,
there's no like fancy way of putting it. It's just they follow you on Twitter because you've met them in the past, or um, they've heard good things about your videos, or something, or whatever. And then you just message them, they message you, however it is, and yeah, you just end up setting a date, time, location, and you end up filming.
yeah. Signature comes on to say as well, Messi or CR7.
It's the it's the world dividing question, right? Uh, can I can I can I sit on the fence with this one? I don't. I the only reason that it draws me to CR7 is obviously the Man United connection,
Yeah,
obviously, and the fact that he's done what he's done in 3 leagues now. So he's obviously done it in the Premier League, he done it in the La Liga, and now he's doing it in the Serie A.
yeah,
And Messi, all credit to him, is so good, and he's broken flipping nearly every record under the sun. But obviously, he's been incredibly loyal and stayed at Barcelona. I don't know where he's going to end up now because obviously he's not going to be there next summer.
yeah.
Um,
Do you reckon you'll go to Man City?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think so. You know, I don't think so. I mean, they've obviously got the money for it. Them PSG. I can just see him. I can just see him going somewhere like PSG where he'll go there and he'll score another 50 goals a season with the likes of Neymar and Mbappe, and like, how couldn't you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's there's and especially if they PSG get Pogba as well, like they'll literally be a flipping god squad. Um,
To be fair, though.
yeah, if someone put a gun to my head and said pick one, I'd say Ronaldo.
Yeah.
But I'm very much part of the sit on the fence group and just acknowledge that you're probably never going to get two players like this playing at the same time again.
Yeah.
Like, just kind of don't debate it. Just you know,
Just embrace it
chill
type
out
of
and
thing.
just acknowledge both. Yeah.
Mate, it's mad. Like, I could see personally if Messi does go to PSG. The only problem with PSG is though is the defense.
Yeah, they're a bit. I mean, yeah, they've got what Kimpembe. Um, who else?
Marquinhos.
Yeah, Marquinhos. They've got that. I don't even know how you say his name, but it's like Kerher, something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
They've got Kurzawa, but yeah, that's like
Did he still have
when
Diallo as well?
we pardon.
Did he still have Diallo as well?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But when Man United played them in that first leg and we beat them, they didn't like just going the other way. So defending, obviously Neymar's doesn't track back, and Mbappe's a striker, so obviously doesn't track back. So they need that defense to be like good and like a solid foundation. And obviously they looked ropey, like they weren't on a good run of form either.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, if they sorted their defense out, obviously as well as bringing in the likes of all these flipping huge names, then there's no reason why they shouldn't win the Champions League and that.
Yeah, for sure. Um, Gibson also says, who do you think will win the Premier League and who will be relegated?
Uh, I think Man City will win the Premier League, and I think that Sheffield United, West Brom, and Fulham will go down. I think.
Yeah, it's probably, to
But
be
I
fair.
actually, this is so weird you say that. So me and my friend, right before the season started, we made a on our notes like a prediction of how we thought the season was going to go.
Yeah.
Where is it? So I said that Fulham, West Brom, and Aston Villa would go down. So obviously Aston Villa are flying at the minute.
Yeah.
I did say that Man City would win the league. I said that Chelsea would finish third.
Wow.
Flipping out. I said that Arsenal would finish fifth.
Wow.
Jesus. And yeah, I said that Bayern Munich would win the Champions League, Inter Milan would win the Europa League, Chelsea would win the Carabao Cup, and Man City would win the FA Cup. So yeah, it's. I put that Sheffield United would finish 12th, and they've got what, like flipping 9 points or something. So
To be fair though, mate, they'll
yeah,
get out that relegation soon. The stages soon, hopefully. Anyway, fingers crossed for them. But in terms of like, I don't know, mate, like Chelsea, Arsenal, they've just fell off.
yeah,
Like, it's been such a weird
it's
season.
yeah. I don't think obviously COVID has done anyone any favors.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a weird old season, and I mean, I definitely think I think Man City will win the league, but there's definitely a few few teams who can win the league. So I do think that Man United can win the league. I don't. It's not, and no one can say that they can't because
Yeah.
we're top. Like, we're in contention along with Leicester. Um, and there's no reason now why Liverpool still can't go and win the league. Like, they're more than good enough to not lose a game from now to the end of the season and win the league
Yeah.
easily. They haven't lost anyone apart from obviously Van Dijk through injury. That's where obviously they're struggling, and it's not helping that they're not scoring that many goals. But yeah, I love this league. Like, even if Man United they could go and finish sixth now, but as long as there's no like 10, 20 point gap, it's so much more entertaining because
Yeah.
you go into every game thinking, "Oh, we've got to win this game. We need a result."
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
I go into like the game we went into against Burnley and Fulham and stuff. I'm thinking, shit, like we can't slip up against these guys. Like if we're really trying to win this league, like even attempting, like we can't drop points against these teams, and not like we haven't, luckily. Um, but yeah, it makes it such a more entertaining league for everyone
Yeah.
involved, apart from obviously the Sheffield Uniteds and the teams down there. But they're obviously different objectives, different aims, and that. So yeah.
Yeah. Jolinton says, not sure if Charlie is massive into the championship, but can you ask who he thinks will get relegated and who you think the top six will be?
So yeah, I'm not massive in the championship, but I know that Norwich are obviously doing well. And I'm close with Todd Cantwell. So I do think they'll come up. I know through watching the cycling GK, old Ben Foster, that Watford are doing all right as
Yeah.
well. So Watford will probably be in there. Who else is doing all right? I think are Bristol doing okay? Let me get the league up. Let's have a gander. I'll see who. I'll see who's about. Norwich, Swansea, Watford, Brentford, Reading, Bournemouth. Yeah, so it'll probably be them lot, to be fair.
Do you reckon Reading will stay
Wickham,
in the mix?
I think so. Why not? That's saying that as well. There's a there's a guy who actually streams, who plays professional football for Reading. His name is
Tom
uh
McIntyre, is it?
yes, McIntyre. Yes, that is him. We speak occasionally. Um but yeah, they're flying at the minute. I do think Norwich I mean, Swansea have got a game in hand, but Norwich are obviously doing really well. I think it'll be I think automatic promotion goes to Norwich. Screw it. I'm going to say Norwich and Watford. Uh, oh no, wait, two go up, don't they?
Yeah. Two
Oh,
automatic and then
automatic promotion goes to Norwich, and then I'm going to say,
no, it's three go up, but two is automatic. So like,
oh, okay, yeah. Then I'm going to go Norwich and Watford get automatic, and screw it. I'm going out there. Bournemouth get the playoff place.
yeah, madness. Um, Lynchy says, who's the best manager right now, currently in the world? I'm guessing that is.
Ooh. See, I'm not familiar of managers abroad. The best manager right now. Is that in terms of like is that in terms of like how their team is performing though? Because obviously I still think that Jurgen Klopp is probably the best manager in the world right now, but obviously the team isn't showing that. Uh, so I don't know if that comes into consideration. Or you can go off of like, I mean, obviously Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp, they're probably the best at the minute. I'd say anyway, regardless of form and stuff. I think they're still the best.
To be fair, I've just got to keep biased and just say Carlo Ancelotti, to be honest. But you know, um,
No, but he. You can see how much he's changed Everton, and not
yeah,
not just in terms of like league position or results, but in terms of the names that he's brought in and players that are linked with him and the team and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean my girlfriend's dad supports Everton, so um, I keep a close eye on the results and that, and it was, I mean, they were flying at the start,
yeah, we were, to
absolutely
be honest.
flying. It was just after, I think it was just after actually you lost to United, wasn't it? That you've
Yeah,
kind of gone a little bit wobbly, but you're back winning games and that now. So
I mean, to be
yeah,
fair,
obviously you had Richarlison injured for a bit.
yeah.
Calvert Lewin's been injured for a bit and that, hasn't he? So
Well, we also had James Rodriguez and Sigurdsson up front against Wolves, didn't we? So we didn't even have a
yeah,
striker playing, mate.
yeah. I mean, and Rodriguez was injured for a bit as well,
Yeah,
but
James, yeah,
he was in everyone's fantasy team at the start of the season when he's pulling strings.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I actually I feel like you'll finish. I feel like you'll. I feel like you'll finish top six.
See that?
I
See,
feel
I'll
like
take that. I'll take that.
I feel like you will, just because of how this league is.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know. Like, 1 minute, it's so weird. About 2 months ago, Ollie was getting the sack.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Ollie was literally on the verge of being sacked, and now we're sitting top. Like, beating Liverpool in the FA Cup, drawing in the league. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
haven't lost an away game in however long. Like, it's crazy how quick this like football can turn. So
Yeah. 100%.
yeah, it's interesting.
Um, Going on like what your plans are moving forward. So at the beginning of the year 2021, what did you set your goals to be?
haven't haven't really set any goals because of how unexpected sort of everything is. But my main thing was, and I'm not sure if you've seen, but on Instagram, I'm doing 100 days of fitness.
Yeah.
So basically, every single day, I have to do, or I'm setting myself the goal of doing some form of fitness, whether it's a run, or I just go for a walk, or I go cycling, or I do a workout in my garage, or whatever it may be. I
Yeah.
go for a kick around in the park, whatever it is. For 100 days straight, I'm gonna be doing something, and that is obviously for many reasons. That's to get me out of the house, for my flipping mental health. That's
Yeah.
to obviously for my physical um health as well, like fitness. So yeah, that's the main thing which I've set myself. I mean, obviously when things get better, I just want to get back playing regular football and stuff, but I find it hard to kind of go, look, I want to do this year, because I did set myself goals for 2020, and I did quite a few of them
Yeah.
from January to March, and then obviously everything just went downhill because lockdown and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many things that I wanted to do. Um, I wanted to I wanted to watch Messi play live. I wanted to watch Ronaldo play live. I wanted to do all these different things, which obviously couldn't happen.
Yeah. For sure.
Um, but luckily enough, last year I still I set myself goals of um, I wanted to raise money for charity, which I did and also I killed two birds with one stone, because I wanted to climb a mountain. So I did both of them. I raised money for charity and climbed a mountain. I wanted to reach 400k subs, which is what I did.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there was a few things which I ticked off. So um, even for such a shit year. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was it
100%.
was. You got to look at the positives, really.
If you could give someone advice, like in terms of if someone's struggling in lockdown right now, what advice could you give them?
um, I think just try and get out of the house. Honestly, like, even if you go for a 5-10 minute run or walk, just like that fresh air and that there's this thing associated with running, and you don't really kind of understand it until you've done it for a little bit. There's almost this like runner's high, where so like even now I still I'm 26 days in, and like you'd kind of think that it was like repetition by now, but even now I think to myself, I cannot be bothered to go for a run today or a
Yeah.
walk or whatever. I sit there and I'm like, I really don't want to go. But once I'm gone and I'm there, it's like I don't want to stop. Like, even if I'm blowing out my ass and I'm like, oh, I have to stop for a minute, like that doesn't mean that I want to go home. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like that. It's weird. And then because I track and I have all these, I have the like an app which tracks like how many kilometers and stuff I've ran. It almost gives me a sense of like motivation, because it's like I know what I've ran, how quick I've ran it, and I can almost have like competitions with myself,
Yeah.
and challenge myself to do different runs and stuff. And I very much have an addictive personality when there's an end goal.
Yeah.
So like even for silly things like um my girlfriend's mum showed me, she has this like stress relieving coloring book. Yeah. And me and my girlfriend just were like mucking around and just started like coloring for like 5 minutes. And then I sat there and I was like, oh, I've got to finish it now. Like, I
Yeah.
can't stop until I finish like what I'm doing. Um and then I recently bought like, it's not Lego, because it's not actually, like, it's not actually that company. It's like a different thing, but it's Old Trafford Stadium, basically
Yeah.
built out of Lego that I've got to
Wow.
build from scratch, from the instructions. And like some people, like I've spoke to like my dad and stuff, and he's like, "There's no way like I'd have the patience to do it. I'd get so annoyed." But
Yeah.
like now I've started, like I can't stop. Like I have to finish it.
What's your progression on it so far?
I mean, I've I I can understand why it tests your patience because the bits are so small, like
Yeah.
so small. So you do have to have patience to do it. But I've probably done like maybe like a quarter. So you see like I've made the United in the white writing on the seats is
Yeah.
what it would be. Um, and like the outer stadium. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a while because I don't really do too much. I'll probably spend like an hour a day on it,
Yeah.
um, just as something to do like in my spare time. Um, but yeah, it's very much like that with the running. Like I set myself a goal on January 1st that I was going to do 100 days of this bullshit thing, which I wish I never did now. But because I've set myself the thing of doing it, I can't stop
Yeah.
because not only do I feel like I'd obviously be letting myself down, um, like the thousands of people that watch like my Instagram stories that I post every day for it, they might not give a shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
they might not care. But the thought that of me missing a day of posting it, like that does my head in, and
Yeah.
I couldn't let that like happen. So like even if I had the busiest day and it got to 11:30 at night, I still have to go for that run or that cycle or that walk or whatever it was. I'd still have to because
Yeah.
I couldn't miss that thing. And I feel like to circle the point back, like fitness and it is so good. Even if you just go for a half an hour walk every day, every other day, just to clear your head and not think about anything. Because when you're out there running and stuff, it's so hard to think about something. Like when you're blowing out your ass, it's so hard to think about anything other than like just to carry on running and not stopping.
Yeah. 100%.
So yeah, it's just I do feel like that is a massive thing, and I do understand why people push the fitness, your fitness and getting out there and going for a run or walk does have a massive effect in terms of your mental health. Like
Yeah.
it really does help it out.
Would you ever post a day in the life of Charlie Morley for YouTube, or is that you just completely done with YouTube now in terms of?
I mean, never say never, right?
Yeah.
I'd never say never. I just think right now, especially the circumstances, um, with everything being closed and stuff, it's very hard for me to make the content that I want to produce, and I think the most people would want to watch as well.
Yeah.
Because I could quite easily make FIFA content and stuff, but it's not on YouTube, and it's not like that isn't what my audience was built from on there. Whereas on Twitch, my audience on Twitch knows that FIFA is the main thing, so they
Yeah.
know what they're coming to watch. Um, but I mean, I definitely wouldn't do a day in the life now. There'd be no point. I'm very boring. I'm not a. There's nothing going on. But and again, like even if this wasn't happening, like I don't get up to anything that's like extraordinary. Or if I was to ever do a kind of day in the life thing, it would only be when something exciting happens, like an event or like a Wembley Cup or like you know where it's almost people want to watch that
Yeah.
because people aren't going to watch me like sit in my room, go on Twitch for a bit, then maybe watch a movie, then maybe make some lunch and stuff. That's very much like
Yeah.
a 2015, 2016 YouTube where you could do that kind of thing and
Yeah.
people
100%. Yeah.
um but not in these times. People would kids have got not only kids, myself have got too short of an attention span. They're very much if you don't capture their attention within the first 30 seconds to a minute of that video, they're gone.
Yeah.
They're they're not interested. Um, so yeah, I can't. I never say never to returning to YouTube or making videos again, but um, not at the minute.
Yeah. 100%. Um, if you could recommend one person to come on the podcast, who would it be?
If I could recommend one person, um, let's go with someone that might be a bit in terms of like a do you, like is there any parameters to this? I mean,
Does not, mate, because we've literally. I mean, not really, no.
obviously not like someone
Because we've
like
been from.
professional footballer in terms of
Well,
like Rooney or something like that.
well,
But
we've already had Reece Bennett on the podcast, so. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
I think at the point we've kind of broken what the podcast was meant to be for, but if there was one person, who would you want to, like, who would you go for?
I think I think Theo Baker. I've got to back him. He's so he's got a very interesting stories in terms of like YouTube and different things like that. Just like life stories and obviously he's been through similar stuff as me, but obviously sees it in a different way and
Yeah.
had different experiences with all these events and different people. And obviously he's a lot closer to Joe and yeah, I'd say Theo. At some point, he should come on.
So if Theo's phone starts blowing off, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. But yeah, if anyone's got any, I've got a question in the chat. Lynchy says, could you ask him what was his inspirations in starting socials?
Well, I mean, I didn't. In terms of starting socials, I didn't start like my Instagram or Twitter because I did YouTube. I had Instagram and Twitter like a long time before I started YouTube. Obviously, just like kind of anyone else, just posting random shit like nights out and pictures with mates and stuff like that. It was only when obviously I started my YouTube channel and obviously people started watching that then they started following me on there.
Yeah.
And then that's when obviously you start to create like your brand image and you dictate kind of where it goes from there. But I mean, obviously going if you relate socials to YouTube, then the reason for starting it mainly was because I enjoyed football. I enjoyed playing football. I enjoyed making the videos with the people that I was making the videos with, Theo, etc. And I thought it was a really sick idea to, when I scored a good goal on camera, to be able to watch it back.
Yeah.
And telling my mates about it and being like, "Oh, look at this goal I scored," and then be like, "Oh, well, did you film it?" And it'd be like, "Well, yeah, I actually did." Do you know what I mean? Like it's on my YouTube and stuff like that. So yeah, that's that.
Gibson was just saying there. He said 2016 Charlie Morley couldn't be topped.
The good that's a long time ago. That's
Mate,
a long time ago.
it's mad to think that I was 16 at that point, mate. Madness.
This is what I've had this conversation with people. I see around my local town, people who have they haven't grown up with me, have they? But so when I first started YouTube, I was 18, I think, and they would have been, even if they were 2 years younger than me, like yourself, 16. They're now 21.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're now like a completely different human being. If you think to like the 12, 13, 14 year olds, they're now pushing 18. It's crazy. It's crazy to think about like how I almost forget that they get older, like with me.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
I almost feel like I've grown up and like my audience like hasn't. It's such a strange thing as well. And the same thing, like I've had like Robbie Savage. I played with him at the Wembley Cup, and he came over to me and he went, "Oh, his son's called Charlie as well." He was like, "Oh, my son Charlie watches all your videos," and it like that was so weird to me at the time, because I don't know how old he is now, but he's playing for Man United. Playing for Man United under 18s, I think. But at the time, he was probably like 15, 14, and just another kid, like just like watching YouTube videos. You know what I mean? But it's a son of a ex-professional footballer, like legend on TV and stuff. So it was like, what? It was weird. And at the Wembley Cup as well, like when people were asking us for photos over like the professional footballers and stuff, and it's like, what? Like back when I was their age, at like 10 to 15, these footballers were literally my idols, like Beckham, Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes, all these people. Like they were the people that I looked up to. They were the and now times have changed so much that now people, when they get asked when they're like 11, 12, what do you want to do for a job? They want to be that YouTuber. They want to be
Yeah.
the next big person on Twitch. They want to have 1 million followers. They want to do all this stuff. And it's changed so much because when I was that age, it was, what do you want to be? It was like, oh, an astronaut,
Yeah.
a fireman, a policeman.
A
And now
footballer
it's just
type of thing,
everyone wants to be a YouTuber and wants to be a social media influencer and all that. So yeah, it's changed a lot. It's changed a lot.
Yeah. Joe Lunton says there, here's a question for Jebbo and Charlie. Who's the biggest influence on both your careers and who made you getting into what you do? If you want to start first. No, obviously.
So who made me get into what I do is Theo. I think I've said that a few times.
Yeah.
Theo's the main reason I started it. Obviously his audience pushed me to do it, but Theo was the main reason. My biggest influence. I don't really know, to be honest, but probably like my own not influence, but my own like drive to want to carry on and stuff was the reason I carried on. Because I remember at the start, a lot of people would just think. I mean, they probably never told me to my face. They would have said it to other people, but they would have thought, "Oh, what the fuck's this guy doing?" Like
Yeah.
speaking to the camera and stuff. There would have been many times where not necessarily my friends, but friends of friends would have been like, what is he doing? And now it's obviously accepted. It's like an acceptable thing to do, isn't it? YouTube and social media.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, it's I don't know. It's hard to answer the influence. What about you?
I'd say in terms of obviously watching the Sidemen as I was growing up, obviously knowing, it's something that I wanted to get into at some stage, but it was just at the point of executing it. It's like why I've left this so late to actually finally go, well, do you know what, I want to do this, and putting basically all the eggs into one basket, full send in it. In terms of influence, like, how can I put it? So, like, I'm not sure if you know, but there's a streamer slash content creator called Bodatel. I'm not sure if you
No, I've
know
not
him or
heard
not.
of him.
But anyway, he was like one of my first people to raid me on Twitch. So it was like, for me, like, it was like gassed. Like, do you know what I mean? I was absolutely gassed from that.
Yeah, yeah,
Obviously he's worked with people like Capgun Tom, Jack54XD and stuff like that. I still speak to him quite regularly still. I'd say most days of the week. So obviously something like that, keeps you going. Obviously friends keeps you going. Obviously your family as well, man. It's like, I know people go, oh, it's sad to tell your family about the stuff that you do, but especially like when you get an opportunity arise and like being able to work with like yourself and obviously like Reese Bennett and people like that, it's just like wow, like it feels like surreal. Like like it's mad because after I'd done the podcast with Reese Bennett, I went into work the next day, and like everyone was like, wow, like what's he like? Asking like 1,000,001 questions.
yeah,
So it's like it's mental, man. Like I think the thing that does it for me as well is like when you stream and like especially like doing a pro clubs draft. Like I'm not sure if you know what one of them is. Um, but anyway, it involves like having like like if you do two teams, obviously it involves having 21 other people and all the people that come in play, all that stuff. Mate, it drives you on as well because like it's just like the support you're getting, isn't it? Really, it
yeah,
drives you
yeah,
on to what you
definitely.
do and stuff. So so
Yeah,
it's for me, it's like 1,000,001 things that keep me going. Like, but yeah,
yeah.
um,
No, it's good though. It's good that you it's good that it's not necessarily just like one thing that you kind of rely on for inspiration
yeah,
or something. It's good that there's multiple things that keep you going, because obviously if that one thing just kind of stopped,
yeah,
then you might lose motivation or some influence to do what you do.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
100%.
good that it's a few things.
Gibson says, "What's the best goal you've seen live?"
Um, I think it would be, so did Bale, the Champions League final, Real Madrid versus Liverpool?
With the
Did
overhead
Bale
kick
score
or
the overhead kick?
he did, I
Was it that one?
believe, yeah. Because
It
he
would be
scored
that
two,
goal
didn't
then.
he? He scored two, didn't he? He scored the overhead kick and then that long range that Karius fumbled.
Yeah, it would be the overhead kick because I went to that Champions League final, um, and yeah, I saw flipping Karius have an absolute howler,
Bet you was
and yeah,
buzzing.
Bale's overhead kick,
Bet you were buzzing.
incredible goal. Yeah, Liverpool obviously losing, but you got in when you're in the when you're in the like media section, you've got to be a little bit unbiased.
Yeah.
So when the opposition score against Liverpool, it's just the unnoticeable fist bump under the chair to have that one.
Madness, man. Lynchy says, ask him what music does he like and have you been to any concerts?
What music do I like? Anything really. Such a shit thing to say, isn't it? Anything, but like, um, yeah, it literally is. I'll listen to the radio, which has got just like chart music. I listen to I mean, you go through kind of phases, don't you, as you get
Yeah.
older. Like when I was at 17, 18, I was proper into like the house music, and I went to a few festivals where there was a lot of like house things, like DJ EZ and stuff playing, and I went to a festival where there was like Tiny Temper, people like that. But I'd say mainly like a hip hop kind of guy. I reckon if I had to pick a genre to just listen to, like that was the only one, then I'd probably say hip hop.
Yeah, 100%. Does anyone else have any questions in the chat that you want to ask either myself or Charlie or both of us? If so, just note them down. No. If not, then we can just wrap it up there, I suppose. But no, how have you found the podcast so far anyway?
Yeah, good mate. I enjoyed it. It's good.
Yeah,
It's good to have a chat, and it's something different to do during your day and that. So
yeah.
yeah, as I said, it's good to cross pollinate your audiences and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So yeah,
100%.
it's enjoyable.
Gibson says, people like how often do people like recognize you and notice you? But do they still recognize you and notice you now as like
Um, yeah, so it's changed a lot. So initially, when obviously I first started, it it was very much like so I don't really no one really says anything now in my town because it's such a small town. Everyone that's kind of wanted a picture or something like has got one
yeah,
or like met me because I mean, when they're like 12, they're obviously like the excited little kid that wants a picture and autograph and
yeah,
blah blah blah. But now, like 5 years later, when they're like 15, 16, it's like not cool thing to do. It's almost like the cool thing to take the piss out of the YouTuber and like stuff
yeah,
like that, or act big in front of your mates. Um, but like if I go somewhere else, like if I go like obviously hashtag games was a massive thing. People want pictures and stuff. But yeah, some people like randomly, if you go out, you kind of get used to like if kids are with their mums and you walk past them, you kind of get like the double take where they look at you and they look away and then they realize and they look at you again and they like start tugging their mum and they're like mum, mum, or something like that. And then the mum comes over and goes, oh, it happens all the time. They go, I have no idea who you are, but my son really wants a picture or something like that. And it's like, yeah, fine. But I mean, I always I always try and make like make it like a fun kind of thing. Like
yeah,
some kids ask for photos, and I go, oh yeah, it costs about a fiver though, mate. And that you see the look on their faces, like they're like, oh really? And then before, usually I crumble. Usually I'm like, oh no, I'm joking. Like don't worry. But
yeah.
before someone's gone, Mom, I need a fiver, and it's like, oh, shut up, I'm joking. Um,
Wow.
but yeah, there's other times where people come up to me and they go, "Oh, are you Charlie Morley?" And I'm like, "No, who's that?" And they're like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Yeah, like, obviously, you know, I'm Charlie Morley. Do you know what I mean? You're just asking to get
Wow.
clarification." Um, but yeah, no, it used to happen a lot more. within like my town. But if I go somewhere where like I don't go, like just I don't know, random places like Portsmouth or obviously bigger places like London and stuff, a lot more people will recognize me in that. But yeah, it was strange. It was a strange thing to like have happen to you like the first time when people ask for pictures. But I don't think you ever really become accustomed to it. I guess unless you're at like the elite, where you can't go anywhere like
Yeah.
without getting asked for pictures. But like when you're like me and it's like it doesn't happen all the time, but it can happen like every now and again. Um, Sometimes people stare at you and you're thinking like, are they staring at me because I'm like, I don't know, I've got something around my face, or are they staring at me because they've recognized who I am? Like it's kind of like that. It's a bit strange, but
Yeah.
yeah, you never quite get used to it. And it's something my girlfriend like doesn't really get used to. She kind of like hates it. She gets all embarrassed because she's like, well, why do people care who you are? Do you know what I mean? Not in like
Yeah.
a horrible way, but yeah, it's funny. It's funny.
Does it ever like annoy you sometimes, or just like?
I wouldn't say it ever annoys me, but I feel like there's certain times and places. Like if I was out eating food and someone came over and asked me for a picture, I wouldn't take the picture. I'd just be
Yeah.
like, can like just I don't mind having a picture with you, but can you just like wait till I've eaten my food? Like
Yeah.
that's probably the only instance. But I mean, other than that, like I don't want to be that guy that they go home to their friends or whatever and go, oh, I met this YouTuber today. He's all right, dickhead. Like he
Yeah.
didn't have a picture with me and stuff like that. I don't want to be that guy. So yeah, I try and have pictures with most people and depending on the circumstances and that. But yeah,
Yeah. Lynchy says, "Are you a dog person or a cat person?"
dog
Yeah, I'm a
massively.
dog.
I like cats as well, but yeah, dogs massively.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up here anyway. It's been a pleasure to have you on, Charlie, mate.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
No worries, man. By the way, guys, I have seen your messages and stuff, and like the people have followed, and if you to the lad that sub with Twitch Prime as well. I don't know how to pronounce his actual username. What's his username? I'm gonna call him Zoin. But Zoin, thank you so much for the Twitch Prime sub as well. I have noticed, like, obviously everyone, it's come in and said hello and stuff like that. But obviously, I don't really want to just like jump into like what Charlie's saying and be like, "Yo, what's happening?" like type of thing. But honestly, from the bottom of my heart, absolutely appreciate it. Who shall we raid then? Who shall we raid?
Who does the chat want? What do they want to see? What
Who do you
content do
want
they
to
want?
see, boys? Who just want to see? There's nothing at the moment.
This is what we could do.
ADW.
This is where it comes in handy, right? This is where you go on the browse section.
Yeah.
What's your main type of content? Are you a FIFA guy?
FIFA guy,
What do you do?
yeah, FIFA mate.
Yeah.
More of a pro
Right, let's
clubs
go
guy.
on.
Yeah.
What's that? Sorry.
Pro clubs in like FIFA.
Pro clubs. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So obviously
Let's have
people are saying ADW. Adam would be a good one, to be honest. He's also been on the podcast. We've got
I was just looking at people with like one viewer.
Let's go for that then. Who do you want to go to? Let's make someone's day.
I'm just scrolling down the page. Obviously, the only problem with some people who have like 1 and 2 viewers is that some people don't have cameras and like
Yeah.
stream off their flipping potato. So like they don't have like the best gameplay and stuff like that. So it's a bit difficult. Or you get some. You
Doesn't
obviously
sound
want an
in
English
sound.
speaking person,
Yeah.
don't you? Um,
Who have we got?
my Twitch is bugging so bad.
Liam Patrick 99 is on clubs.
Go for it.
Let's go and check him out. Let's go follow him, and then we'll go and check him out. Let's have a look. See. Yeah, we'll go and raid them. We'll go and raid them. That's the one that we're gonna do.
Nice one.
But yeah. So let me put this in. Is it coming up? Oh, it won't let me raid them because it's intended for mature audiences. So that was not
Really? Can you not just press OK or something?
Yeah, have a look. Oh no, it's going through. It's going through. It's all good.
Oh, it's doing it. Okay.
But yeah, guys, absolutely class for you that hopped in. Absolutely appreciate it as well. Go check out Liam. Also, guys, go check out Charlie Morley on his socials and all that stuff. If you obviously you've come in, you don't know who he is. You've been living under a rock for the past 5-6 years. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, take it easy. See you guys later.
Peace.